Hello, everybody, and welcome back to PA Today's Sports Talk with John Magusiak. I'm your host, John Magusiak, and we are once again coming to you from the beautiful Monaca, Pennsylvania, at the beautiful Monaca Brewing Company. I'd like to give a special thanks to James and Kylie Kazel for allowing us to use this beautiful establishment for this podcast. But also like to give a big shout out to our sponsor at this time, 31 Event Rentals. Thank you to them for making this possible. We have head coach of the Moon Tigers in the building, Ryan Linn, and he has 4 of his upperclassmen players that are going to join us. But before that, let's get into this past week 5 WPIAL's action. Aliquippa takes out Ambridge 53-16 in a quad A matchup. That Parkway Conference, that's a big win for Aliquippa to keep rolling. They're undefeated. You'll see them later in the power rankings. Armstrong takes down North Catholic 21-20. That's a big win for Armstrong to come back and bounce back and get a win. Avonworth over West Mifflin. A lot of people I've seen online were thinking, West Mifflin might pull this upset off, but Avonworth keeps rolling and they stayed undefeated. Beaver 56 over Brentwood 20. That's one I think we all saw coming. Beaver Falls over Riverside, they take care of a section opponent there, 41-6. Bell Vernon was angry after last week's loss at Thomas Jefferson. They take down South Allegheny 57-6. As we move along, Central Catholic, they make a statement. Cannon McMillan has one of the best defenses in all of 6A. And Central Catholic, they put up 49 points. I don't want to go too far into that because we're going to get into what Peyton Wayner and Peter Gonzalez did later in the show. But those guys are playing Madden right now. Central Valley, they take down Blackhawk, another section opponent. That's a good section win for them, 42-14. Clareton takes down Greensburg Central Catholic, and that's a statement win for Clareton in my opinion, because that GCC team, a lot of people thought they were going to be an upper echelon 1A team, but Clareton took care of business there, 40-28. Connellsville is a team that surprised a lot of people, but they didn't surprise me. They have a kid named Jaden McBride, a very good receiver. He's just a very good talent there. In Connellsville, they beat Hampton this past week, 28-26. That's a statement win for Connellsville. Cornell, they remain undefeated, 14-13 over Burgettstown. Ed Dotson and his Raiders, they just get by, 14-13 over Burgettstown, so they stay perfect. You'll see them in the power rankings as we move along. Elizabeth Forward, they remain perfect in a close, crazy game against Southmoreland. That was a good one. If you can go back and watch that game, I advise you to do that. Franklin Regional takes care of Plum, 45-26. Franklin Regional is a 5A team that's coming on late here. They had a defense that was already connected. Like I talked about a guy like Austin Kearns last week. The defense was already there. It just took, getting that offense back. Now the offense is clicking. They're getting the sticks moving. They're moving the ball downfield, and you're seeing Franklin Regional pick up some W's. Fort Cherry, we just had Matt Sig call in, or we're going to have him call in a little bit, actually. I talked to him earlier today, but we're going to have him call back in here in a little bit. Fort Cherry upsets the number 1 team in my power rankings, Bishop Canavan, 48-41. Did they do enough to move up to that number 1 position? Stick around and find out at the end of the show when we go through these power rankings. And something I want to speak on is we go back to that Central Catholic Cannon McMillan game. We're heading into week 6 and Central Catholic already has the section clinched up. I mean, that's insane. They're already section champions. Gateway, they have looked great ever since the return of Brad Birch. I'm going to get into more of a guy over there in Stephen Jenkins. I don't want to talk too much about him because I have a little segment for him. They take down Hempfield 63-21. Amani Christian, they're a powerful 2A team with Stephen Vanderver, David Davis, Deshaun Burnett, under Leroy Johnson. They're well coached. The offense it's a hybrid, fast offense. They're going to spread you out. They're going to pass the ball. They take down a tough Burrell team 35-8, and that's a statement win in my opinion for Amani Christian. Now, as we move along here, Jeanette's a single A team that is surprising a lot of people, but they're really not surprising me. I mean, Peyton Hans-Molter, he's a guy that's both sides of the ball. He really gets it done for them, and I really like what he's doing for Jeanette right now. They take down Riverview 42-22. Keystone Oaks over Charleroi 41-14. As we continue to move on, Northgate, that's a big win for Northgate. They get beat by Southside pretty good, and after taking a loss like that, it usually takes, a minute to get your feet back under you. They come out on top, 20-13 over Shenango, which Shenango beat a really good coached Rochester team the week before, so that's a big section win for Northgate. North Hills takes out Fox Chapel, 50-0. Penn Hills, 28-12 over Bethel Park, and that's a big win. I know Bethel Park's record I don't think Bethel Park's record represents the team they have with Tanner Pfeiffer and Ryan Peters, Clancy Ori, and those guys. They've had a rough schedule. It's a rough start for them, and I can see them being a team that runs off a couple at the end. Penn Trafford over Norwin. Penn Trafford's a team that's really starting to come on. They established the run game early, and they established the run game often, and that's their identity, and they're going to stick with it with a guy like Zach Tomasevich up top. Tasso Whipple is having an unbelievable year. We'll get into those guys a little bit later, but they take out a tough Norwin team with Jackson Pons and Tristan Tavares the way they're playing right now. That's a good win for Penn Trafford. Peters Township. The Moon Boys are sitting right next to me, and it's Peters week for them. Peters Township takes down Baldwin 49-6. We'll get into that matchup here in a little bit with the Moon versus Peters when Coach Lynn's on the show. Quaker Valley, they take down Hopewell. Both of these teams needed a win. Quaker Valley wins 38-30. That's a big win for Quaker Valley because both of these programs really needed a win. Rochester handles business in a section win over Laurel, 42-14. Seneca Valley picks up their first win of the year against Butler, 55-0. Sarah Catholic takes care of a Dairy team, 27-12. Whittier Streebling continues to do what he does over there. Shadyside takes down Freeport in a great game, 31-28. The Bulldogs are showing us they're still here. They're not out of this. We're still, we're still a 3A playoff team. South Park now, as soon as Seton LaSalle, they make their way into number 5 in my power rankings. South Park upsets them 35-28. This is not the end of the story for the Rebels by any means. I see them bouncing back and, continuing to have a great season. Southside Beaver, they take out Summit Academy 56-7. I don't want to speak on too much of that because they had a few players that were players of the week, so we'll get into that. Steel Valley, 49-17 over Apollo Ridge. They're a top 2A team. They got the Barksdales. Duran's coming back pretty soon. I talked to him. He's getting back into shape, but Donald Barksdale's been going off. Thomas Jefferson over Laurel Highlands, 56-6. Union over Springdale, 54-7. USO, am I reading this right? They beat Perry Thursday night, 70-0. That's a brutal one. Upper St. Clair over Mount Lebanon. It's a big win because these two schools, they don't like each other, and Upper St. Clair needed to bounce back, and they needed a win. They get the win, 42-27 over a tough Mount Lebo team. Washington takes down Waynesburg 48-14, and they proved that they are still at the top in 2A, and Waynesburg still has some levels to go. West Allegheny takes down Chartiers Valley 42-6. The Cornells continue to do what they do. Brody and Brock, both those guys, along with Roman Police and a few others. Tyler Hatton is a freshman that's really been producing for them. West Green, with a guy like Colin Brady, I know he had over 300 yards. We'll talk about that soon. 41, they hold off a tough Monessen team with the Kershaw brothers and Lorenzo Gardner, 41-32. Western Beaver with Javen Pill, Mikey Crawford, Tyson Florence in the crew. They're just rolling at this point. They got a freshman quarterback in Javen Pill. We'll talk about him soon. 48-0. Westinghouse takes down Hollidaysburg, and that's a big win for them. They get them 30-22. Big win. Shout out to Dante Green and his staff on that win. Woodland Hills, 56-14 over Shaler. And we'll get into this in a little bit, but they put up a 42-piece in the first quarter that was last night, Saturday night. We'll get into the Woodland Hills team because I see them peaking right now. And that is the last game we're going to speak on. And at this time, I would like to welcome Coach Ryan Linn to the show. So we're going to go ahead and get him set up. And we're going to get the Coach Ryan Linn segment going. Alrighty, at this time, We have a special guest coming off 3 big wins. I'd like to introduce the head coach of the Moon Tigers, Coach Ryan Linn. Thank you for being here today. I've known him a long time, so it's a special one for me. So we're going to go all the way back. 3 years OC and Freedom. 1 year West Allegheny under Bob Palko, correct?
2 years.
2 years. And then 2017 to President Moon, correct?
Correct.
All right. And 36 and 23, 5A. 2021, you guys were the runner-ups, correct?
Right.
That's his resume right there. So we're going to take it back to the Freedom days. So the way we do it on this show, coaches, we go all the way back. I like to dig in and, see what you learned throughout your process. I know you've been in the coaching game not only for football, but other sports a long time. But I'm going to stick to football in this. So what would you say you learned most from those early days coaching football in those first 3 years of Freedom?
So I went over there. For me, it was just the ability to call plays. I wanted to be an OC, and I knew that was going to kind of springboard me into this role I am.
Yeah.
But so there was game plan, calling plays on Friday, kind of get understanding policies and finding offenses that works for me throughout the years.
You had 100% freedom there?
Yeah.
They gave you creative control there?
Yeah, Frank was. I coached Frank Davis.
That's what he asked.
So Frank got the job. I reached out to him. So they looked for the seal months and done talk. They basically, okay, we knew each other from working together. Freedom. Yeah, we'll take it. So initially, it was going to be him and I did the offense, and he's a defensive guy. He utilized him. He can kind of go on that side of the ball.
Okay.
Be run for 3 years without it. My show.
So it was your show as the offensive coordinator in those early Freedom days. Was it a lot of, trial and error? Because going into a position like that, you got creative freedom, you could do what you want. Was it a lot of trial and error? How'd you do it? Every coach has a different system,
I think it was just, with punishing down the field. We went to a spread, because that's what you have. It's not on the spread. So do I.
They wanted a spread
So
at that time?
Yeah.
And that's what you wanted. I remember I was still in high school at that time. You wanted a spread.
So I wanted to spread offense. We were, basically on Saturdays, we're live, we went 2 sets.
Yeah.
But then as we got going, you could run it back. We had a big tight end, and we could place it for the back. So when I finished, we were like a hybrid, like the spread.
Yeah.
Edge back for the back, tight end.
Like where you're at now?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of the evolved to fit our system, fit our kids.
So I got to ask you, Ryan. When you were at Freedom and you started this football journey, as the head coach, was that always the end game for you?
Yes, it never varied. And I always thought I wanted to be back in Moon at some point when it was assistant really good coach Neil. I remember being like my last year with Freedom, so Frank, before the season.
What year was that?
2012.
2012.
So I started my first year because it was good at Moon. What time my career teaching this week. I remember having the 5th grade asking, well, aren't you going to trust or I'll coach you before you graduate. That's kind of ended up funny. I did, but Frank halfway through the year he got that principal job, so I was able to I kind of basically had to be the head coach for majority of times he was still learning the principal side of it. He first times he wasn't back all the time, so a lot of being credit for building some of that. His role was funny.
Okay. Now I got to go to the West Allegheny town now. Yeah, we got to talk about it because I've done my homework on you. I know you personally, but I've done my homework on your football team and your coaching career as well. You said this is where you really feel like you took a step up. Can you just explain what it's like to coach from Bob Palko first? He's just starting that.
I think going over there, coach for Bob, you know what, taught to him. And so this dude was difficult because I can't tell you what it is. I'd be a part of the decision to get there. He is super involved in everything, but the X's and O's side.
Really?
Bob just called it. See, play while I was there. Bob didn't call it. It was defense lineman. That was 5 lineman practice for more than that. Half hour for an period to those guys. He was often everything. It was so the guys that were on the field coaching could coach. So it showed some of the other sides. You don't always have to be the X's and O's guys. Yes.
So is that something I've been out there practices now, is that something that approach you take to learn to trust your assistants more and almost just watch over it and make sure everything's running well, not be so hands-on? Is that an approach you've taken over the years?
Yeah, I think it's the way, we're all adults, we look free to be able to do our thing, and I think it's shoot micromanaging the drivers off the ice. You're gonna let them manage as good people. So for me, it's like here's the job. How easy to do this job? Go out and do it. The guys I've had for the last 7 years, you know, so after you got us for 9 years, here have been unbelievable. I mean, we'll come in the bar, the game plan, squad be done, kids be prepared. So they score these, and it allows me to like kind of handle a lot of things that had the other stuff that come with and others that you see the Friday.
Especially high school. Do you want to talk about a bit what goes into being a high school head football coach? It's not only getting them on the field Friday. You got to make sure the grades are right. You got to make sure they're showing up to school on time. Make sure they're at practice. Want to speak on that a little bit?
So I mean, like literally every day, it's like I get in there, it's like the attendance at some point, see who's working, list of guys here and there, and it's like the academics.
Yeah.
Like, there's the behavior side. Then it's like, then it's okay. I need to get a question back. Most ones get anything changed in the house, and like we see our kids are.
You guys eat good. I seen it the other night.
Our boosters are amazing.
I was there Friday. You guys eat good.
Friday after the games.
Oh wow.
JV gets fed.
They're taking care
of. Like, it's all the little things that like they keep calls out and get some awards. I mean, these guys getting taken care of. So those, we have the ability to kind of like take care of some of the stuff. Like it takes it off my plate. Like, so it's not like the past where it was calling plays. We do a lot more of like juggling it, and then my work schedule. Like I have some flexibility at work, and my periods off that are back to back, so I have some time going to day to get other stuff done. So it helps, you know. Plus, the wife and 3 kids, it helps. Me not having the game plan side, it helps.
For sure.
Right now.
Excuse me. So, but we're gonna get to the Moon portion. I know you were only at West A for 2 years, but can you describe? They have a special program. Can you just describe what it's like over there?
It's
The community and just the way they show up for that program.
so when I was there, I joined on in the next like bars last like big bud. So they won a title at 12. I was there at 13 and 14.
Oh.
Won in 13 my first year. Everyone was on my 14 and lost to the Valley. So like when I was athletic, I did Frank Godfrey, right? Interviewed for head job there. He's like, man, like a handful of options to go west. Reached out a couple where like, you want to be a head coach and want to learn to go to West A. So I was kind of my reason. I was okay being a position coach and just being a guy that there is a sponge. But like, Bob did some things that like I kind of see the behind the scenes side of things, like because I wasn't in the building and I wasn't there. We got there practice. We started like, you know what? Our Thursdays, this is kind of what I would do. Our Thursdays is eat dinner and then like.
So you've incorporated a lot of. You credit a lot to him.
Yeah. So like, I would go in the health team. Like we would do like jerseys. Kind of get organized for Friday, like it was just like saw it was sitting backside of while like it made everybody else live for you. So he took care of all the stuff like the scenes at Porter.
Yeah.
Those guys that need Porter got in the post playing. He was building a post ball and do their thing. And so I'd stay with the boys. Sit with the Todd didn't he know it was a lot of me to kind of just sit and absorb everything that's going on. Yeah. I loved every minute.
It was your learning.
Yes.
All right, so 2017 was when that job was up in Moon, right?
Yeah. So I came back. After 14, I think he hired a guy. I went over with him. And wanted OUC in 15. So I was with Brendan Hanflick from 15 to 16.
Yeah.
Spring of 17, Brendan was like, just resigned. Was I like mid coaching the softball?
Yeah, I seen that just coaching softball.
So I got hired May of 2017. We're in this to make a big tunnel out of softball. Expecting our first kid in September, and I'm like, let's add another head coaching job on it. So it was like, and I like knew that's what I wanted. And I knew like the timing was.
It was the right school too, and you said, well, that's what I was gonna say. You apply, you're approved by the school board, and I read somewhere, you said it was your dream job. Can you elaborate why Moon was your dream job to be the head coach of the Tigers?
I think as you grow up, like you have Coach Grumpwater. I was like, I'm never done with coaching. I was at his house and tell everybody about that.
Yeah.
But like. As a professional, like teach there, and then first school game get you to teach, like be able to coach the kids I work with daily, be right there.
And you've seen these guys come up, right?
I see from like 5th grade on.
Wow.
So for me to kind of take over that, kind of go that for us, and it was what I wanted. I was super excited for the opportunity. The way it came out, it was just he was going to be the right feet for it at that time.
So you take over a program. You guys, I mean, it wasn't a winning season since 2013. It wasn't a winning program. What was the first thing you knew that you had to establish when you became the head coach? Just being you were in charge.
I think it was just a culture. Just like, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to put time out. You'll find guys that are really big. And that was like the only thing they've had league years of what. Until I got hired, or I was 10 years.
Yeah, that's.
I did anything because I got there and easy of it. And Coach Palko left. I'm the history editor towards the end. They were like, other guys trying to get the resumes and then they struck in the minute. We back them in and they were first group season of the 90s. They won a 7-point rack.
Wow.
And then
I didn't know that. I didn't go that far back. Wow.
When I took over, then you got Jaws there for 2, Mark Washington there for 4, Atwood there for 2. We only came to the 17, so that means I was the 5th head coach in 10 years. So they might be see the piece in that it's good stability. Let's say both starting to build college with like work ethic and some of those things. That was kind of our we're just gonna work. Maybe I'm not even gonna work with it downtown. It's just not working.
And you guys, those first 2 seasons, 7 and 13. What would you say? What did you learn most as a head coach of this Moon team under those 2 tough seasons? You didn't go winless. You had some wins, but
it was like the first year was 5-5. I think it was like, hey,
yeah.
Third seasons, maybe it's like just being consistent. Like that was you're so consistent and consistent as early stage. Because that was like hard for me to like as a head coach struggle. Like we gotta be better. Like week in and week out, be consistent. That's kind of hard talking with it. I think my senior year, my first senior class in 17 kind of set the tone of what it's rather needed. We beat West Day for the first round of 12 years. That was kind of our like signature one.
Yeah.
And then like 18, just get up, put a board back, went through some injuries, get used to the white red. We had a really good freshman group coming in that's kind of going to be the guys that kind of brought this guy to the coach, had to establish the program. So they were all freshmen out. So but then after his first year 7-13, the next 3 were Brian.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So 2019 rolls around. You guys put together the best season under you so far. 9-3, second round, WPIAL playoff exit. What would you say about that team that was able to, that's a good season in my opinion. In 5A, it's a solid season. So what was it about that 2019 team that was able to win?
I think a lot was in 18. We had a great senior Christian. Didn't go inconsistent, just like a lot of things that I didn't have excuses. Just a lot of stuff that like you're not winning, you have to tell you that sometimes you're not supposed to have been in Capish for the first time, you guys get shoulders and kids grow up, kids mature. We had a lot of people were starting to worry back. Well, even June, it was like 5'11", 145 pounds, and led the season 6'1", 180 pounds. We pull out boys 40 pounds. Most of them kept dying up. They had them defining it big. Then also from class was so we drew the guys called started. We had a sophomore who plays quarterback and I was just being a starter.
You had some guys.
Yes.
So that's what I was gonna say. So it took a little time, but in 2019, you guys turned it around. Did the community start to come together? And that's what I wanted to ask next. Is that when?
That's when it like the conference started for the first time.
But you gotta win. I mean, the community's not gonna come out for 0-9, 0-9.
That was like you get parents around me.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it's like student sessions and awesome season.
Right, I was there the other night. It's filled to the top.
In our game, like athletic offset this season was so like 22, like in 30 games. So like that's and then like awesome. Plays in the football and always been like that. And like teams like I told the kids for sets of goals. Web chamber conference. He was the left.
You did all 3. There's something to build.
Right. So it was new games and Organic and teams. So it was like then the West Allegheny game was close to 14-12, but that was like what we secured first and first time.
That's Parkway football. That's 4A, 5A football at the end of the day. So 2020 hits COVID strikes. Can you talk about? Let's just talk about that year. How different it was with that COVID year.
So that was like
What were you 4-3? I think. So it was a little bit. 7 games.
7 games. We like we did all South Fayette.
They were the section games.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we lost, but it was like St. Clair by less than 2 years game. This wasn't any one of those like that thing. It's been man guys bring you all back that we go find us.
There, yeah.
You know, any choices now. You pretty look back when you have a full off season. You're to be sure we were tails.
So I was unsure that also. I wasn't into the high school scene at that time. There's obviously blocking another one. Was it unsure? When did they make that decision that the season was going to occur?
We typically in our summer park we do like a team over the competition over there. That was about all of the day. That was like Friday football. You know, played for around tables decision for teams. So that was like one of those deals like I'm gonna say we're gonna start out. Make a fun with Sylvia, get that one, make up knowledge. 2 weeks later, the day they sleep, then they gave us I could give my all 20 games, so like I also took then they pushed the week 1 and then that was the only maybe our school was on tour in this game. With 3 guys.
I think it's just all over the place.
You were sitting out there.
Could you walk with the things and you already work stuff Fridays break. I think it's just unique situation.
That's a unique situation. Yeah, for the seniors especially. So 2021, that's the year I feel like you guys broke through on that next level as as a program. People are like, look, Moon's here and you're serious. So you want to speak about what it was about that 21 team, because I know the senior was that group together for a long time. Maybe to seniors.
That was one unique.
How many seniors did you have? Was it a 26, 25? Wow. 7 or?
Yeah.
Wow.
These sort of what's based on Telesburg, Telesburg, no less than specials. I mean, Trent's blankets,
So it was just one of those special boundary. When I say boundary schools, some boundary schools just have some groups that stick together. That was one of those groups. This being the seniors. I got you. They wanted it. So I know it's going to be tough, but you lose that game down in Heinz Field. You get down there your first time. Can you take us through that a little bit? Some things you may have learned from that experience getting to that championship game.
It's something that comes out just like a lot of mindset is like
where you're right.
You have to have time. If the kids want it, you have to have a commitment level outside of the time that's set aside for them. And those guys do. They know it's hard. Let me bring you guys have to leave us. I can't go to the only get yourself you guys that you want to be special. I know they too long about it. I came free but at times like you should like running forward. But getting down there was just a bird. It's just
I'm sorry to invite me.
but just getting down here is just that took some months. Well, it's just for being circumstances throughout the year and having like Florida. Sometimes having it. I'm supposed to grab a bunch of guys and just gotta find their rating and pressure.
Oh, for sure.
When we got down there, super fired up.
Yeah.
Penn Hills team that will this game because they were all soft.
Yeah, this wasn't too long. Yeah.
And they were looked at it. Well, we did the final thing on the party, but that's what happened. That's
It's a close game. It's just, and when you say luck, I know you as a coach, you're not going to listen. There is a lot of luck that goes into those games.
Front of the year.
And that's what we're saying.
We're having injuries. It's time with the kids. So we you get to that situation with that, it's kind of really you get 22 and just the opposite.
Yeah.
Backlog. Things didn't go our way, kids got hurt. So you got a lot of those situations too where you have to kind of like use that when you ride it, take it for what it's worth, and you get back.
So last year rolls around like we talked about. 25 seniors lost, 1-9. What do you think these guys learned the most though? Because right now they roll.
We talked a lot about like his negative moments. The biggest thing is to try to maintain positivity, to maintain like, hey, you're gonna be okay. Just trust what we're doing. Just believe in yourself. Keep trusting. Tell them. 35 first year winner was last year. Only 50, so we brought back there with 50 something. But it was which is great for us. But it tells you how many kids we played last year through different situations, through injuries.
And that schedule's a lamb.
Yeah, just trying to find ways. We were so immature. We were so young. So like new to our Friday nights. Like that's the thing that you can see bodies. Kids were on 50, 25 pounds. And what's that extra time to be ready to go in that? They get started to show. We had to take our lumps as a program to get to this point.
Got it. So, like I said, you head into 2023. You got started out 0-3, but they were tightly contested games. You and I talked on the phone. You told your boys, look, we're closer to 3-0 than we are 0-3. I absolutely loved that when you said that. So, you guys take out number 1 Penn Hills. You have not looked back since this 3-game winning streak. Where do you want these guys mentally to keep their minds? Don't get too high, don't get too low. Where do you want them?
I try to tell them that they want to stay right.
Yeah.
Because like I trust. I get excited.
Yeah, you don't get. I never see you too up or too down. Yeah.
I'll get on them and leave for it. It's like minor stuff, but it just we're not enough to vaccinate. It's just like little things. But I want to keep being a secret. Just like that Friday, if the Saturday wasn't done, so you can just feel like the weight off your back because it's a program. The kids for Easter, they were like, what they passed in the conference, and they were like, with more smiles, more enjoyment. So it's like, you just saw it the last couple of weeks how much more they enjoy being at practice. And it's like, you're putting a little extra time, on the film. So those are things that like, you start to get in, they start to see the potential are there, and they start to think, like, they mean more.
See, yeah, they see it. So, can you speak on a player like Nazir Brookins and just the way he's able to grind, and just move those chains?
So we switched our offense. We kind of went to that hybrid.
Yeah, we spoke about
we see it. I know we were playing at Wes's house, and we've been grateful.
Well, that's what you need.
You need a kid that's willing to go in there, what his nose down and get his feet dirty, and then pump. Get Nos does some good speed, so he gets through that line and never leave me. They're out there pressing or listen more. Instead of safety us back or when against Morrison dribble up for 7 assists, so we were projected. He's I told him for the rest of that. I love this physicality. Because last year he did come like this year. I think it was part of the way we ran our offense a little bit.
It's a little bit different.
He wasn't as downhill as he is this year. He's more downhill. He's understanding like this is where the yards are. This is where the investments. He's been help balance it when he needs to. Last year, talking about a lot more. This year he's same tackles where we need him for the offense that he's hitting. I mean, even one point last week, him and Josh had same amount of carries, same amount of yards. Up until this big night, I think they said they're not to 22.
Well, but he was a workhorse, grind.
Yes.
And that's the next thing. Those two kind of feed off each other because Nas blocks over here. I mean, he's a great lead blocker. Then that goes. A lot of people don't talk about that. So you said Josh Bladel, he's the heart and soul of your team. You want to speak on why he's the heart and soul of this team?
It's just he's on he's sort of one of them. You have one good quarterback. Josh works really hard. He means a lot. You keep see it.
Okay.
This might be his last. I think he does some other like after high school and to this place. He's good opportunity.
That kind of player, he probably could if he weren't.
He has opportunity to for once. I think he's just good,
But that's it.
But he's
the path.
And I think part of it was at least he played in the 7 most of these guys in the softball.
Okay. So he was on that team playing.
He got some more time than obviously then. Last year, played week 0, played part of week 1, but he didn't play until week 8. He had big issues, and he was out.
It's hard to get anything going for that, yeah.
He done it all full clear, 4 touchdowns, 100-some yards. Like he was like,
okay.
Things are different.
That was the last game of the year, right? Did you say that helped build a little bit of a momentum heading into the next year at all? At least one, doesn't matter how.
Yeah, and I think, we played Bob, we won our first loss, the 7th straight. We were each street, 9 straight losses. Times got big. It was back and forth, probably does that. Like, he would, So for me, like going down, just the weight off my shoulder more, 09, you went that 0, you got one, and that allowed the kids kind of have some positivity going on.
Yeah. And, like, you guys have some young guys stepping up. Like, first pops into mind is Jared Ward. He's standing up on the edge now.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the difference, him putting the hand in the ground and stand up? Because I see a difference in my opinion.
So last year, basically, at the tight end, I want him in like a tight end, playing the H role on offense. He's stand up, feet out.
Yeah.
We kicked him out until wide out this year, but like he's athletic, his speed, we can do here. Like that's going to block a little bit. Like we keep it at H, he comes in this pitch. He wasn't top four speed. We get him outside. And defense, we had like a 5-10 beat, 4-3. So going down system, like we got to switch this up. So we switched the coordinator. Father knew the medal from Spurs. A couple years left. So hired me. I Mototato and Airbob goes in with my assistants for years.
He's been with you for a while.
Sophomore.
And this was his defense.
So this is
Or was this like you guys collaboration?
Yeah, and so we ran a little bit of JVs last year because of
Just plenty with you. Yes.
it was our fast package right now. So we went to the basement like even more kids that can run, more efforts. It's kind of what we did this year for it. It's even blocks. Yeah, he told us that he's going to play safe. Put you outside backer, you're going to pop it in. You get the blitz, you get coverage, and so this is where you put the athletes in this defense. He's in
You credit. No, he looks comfortable, and now he looks happy.
It's a matter of time before all of those plays start coming in. One of the next bars of his first acquisition, not like his hand popped up, picked down this week. That's for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I believe the identity of this team is we're going to line up, run the ball until you can stop us. Would you say that's your identity right now?
Yeah, I think right now.
Defense, too. Your guys' defense is outstanding. You guys' hats fly to the ball, so I'd say defense run the ball. Would you say that's your identity?
I think right now, like, it's like, it's way great defense. It ain't not saying right thing. We ain't mad, but let's control the ball off because let's score ourselves in good spots and leave coming first down. But we're going to let's kind of want to play. I like.
Yeah. Last question for you, Ryan. It's a big week. You guys are heading over to #1 ranked Peters Township. They're undefeated. I don't want you to give us too much, but what do you guys got to do to come out of there with a win?
I think, our grades and teachers though. I mean, he ain't like he's why I didn't the best 5 8 programs because the last fall was 4 or 5 best teachers.
Yeah.
But he's an influence breaker. Bunch of talent.
Ton of talent, man. Each class has it too.
He's gotten a lot out of it. Those kids are where the ball goes. So I think this one for us is he's good on this one. We ourselves splits out. He lives. I think he built a special off offense that really keep us to the game. I think, and they've had some brawls. They haven't. We keep a close way.
You guys been in those close games that they had. Is that what you're kind of going?
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for us to have, for both of us to see where we're really going to get a test to see where we're at. They're going to get a test because we're going to play.
Well, that's all I got for Coach Linn today. Thank you for joining the show, brother. You're always welcome here. Head coach of the Moon Tigers, Ryan Linn. We got some players that are going to join next. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, PA Today's Sports Talk. I'm your host, John Magusiak. We're back. We're with some special guests. We're with the Moon Tiger players. We got the senior captains. We got Josh Bladel on the end. We got Mitch Parisi, Brian Crawford, Rocco Sinatra. How you boys doing today? Thank you for joining the show. Good. So I'm going to start off with you, Josh. I know your names by now, but go ahead and repeat your name. Give me your class, position, your best attribute on the football field.
My name is Josh Bladel. 2024, play outside linebacker and running back. And
What's your strengths?
I think my biggest strength is like my football IQ. Been playing for a while, and I think that's probably my strongest attribute.
Okay, and by the way, he was co-MVP the other night in the big win against South Fayette, so look out for him. He was running through guys. My guy don't go down easy. Let me ask you, Mitch, same thing. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, give them a class, just give them a rundown.
So I'm Mitch Parisi, I'm class of 2024. I'm a D-line and O-line, and I think my biggest strength is strength and my physicality on the field.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Brian?
My name is Brian Crawford, class of 24. I play center and DN. My strengths on the field, probably my consistency. I always know where I'm going and always get there.
And for you, Rocco, what would you say?
I'm Rocco Sinatra, class of 2024. Probably my biggest, or middle linebacker and running back. My biggest strength is probably reading the field on defense. Pretty well at that.
All right, so you guys are all seniors. You've been around for a lot through this program. Highs, lows. So I want to ask you, what's the biggest difference, we'll start with you, Josh, between this year's Tigers team, last year's Tigers team? I know you're healthy this year, so that's a big difference. Go ahead and just give me the biggest difference in your opinion.
I think the biggest difference is we have leaders this year. I love the guys from last year, but they weren't. I don't think they were as dedicated as we are, and didn't have as much discipline or accountability on the team as last year.
Okay. You want to?
I have to say the same thing about Josh. I mean, the leadership has definitely changed this year. Also, like the one to like win has changed as like last year.
Yeah.
It was just bad.
It's in your opinion, what do you think?
Definitely the environment of the players. We all won it this year.
You guys bought it. Everybody's bought in. You don't feel like you guys were
Everyone's
fully
bought
bought in last year.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And Rocco, what are you thinking?
Probably the attitude. The attitudes are a lot better this year. We all have the attitude to win, and we all want to win.
All right, Rocco, I'm gonna stay with you. So, I actually known Coach a long time. I was actually coached by your coach in baseball, though, not football. So I never was coached by him in football. So I want to know. I know what it's like to be coached by him, but what's it like to be coached by Ryan Linn in football?
It's great, you know.
The hesitation.
Yeah. It's great. He's a great coach. He tells us all like the right and wrongs of what to do.
Okay.
He might not be an offensive or a defensive coach, but if we mess up on either, he'll tell us what to do and how to make ourselves better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Go ahead and just move it down the line here. You want to go?
Good coach. You can tell he really cares. He's getting on us for stuff on and off the field, and he just acts like he cares about us.
So basically saying the same thing.
Yeah, Mitch.
I mean, he's always like helping us prepare during the week, and I love his message that he always says that listen to the message, not the tone of the message. I love that.
Josh, what's it like playing for Coach Linn?
I love it. I like that he's very level-headed. He doesn't let his emotions get the best of him whenever he's coaching. He likes to keep it fair on the field.
And we were all part of that team that went to Heinz, right? Mm-hmm. I'll start with you, Josh. What would you say you learned the most in that sophomore season you went to Heinz? From those leaders, you know what I mean, those senior leaders.
The leadership from that team, like we got lucky. Like we had all those guys. I think we had 5 or 6 captains that year.
Wow.
And they all deserved to be captains. They were good leaders.
So you couldn't even pick 4.
No. And we just learned from them like how a team should be ran and how we can lead a team to be successful.
You feel like you're taking some pieces from that team and incorporating them into this team?
Yeah.
Yeah? And Mitch, what did you learn personally most from being on that team?
I learned a lot about the discipline. I mean, the senior captains really showed me their discipline.
Yeah.
I remember during every game we played, we always started off they always scored, and all the senior captains always made sure that we kept our heads up, and we always came back and always started scoring touchdowns.
That's awesome. And personally for you, those guys, you know, that big senior class, what did you learn the most from?
I learned that during practice, like every day in practice, they were going 100% full speed, and what it really takes to win games during the week, not just on
to get to
Fridays.
that level, yeah. Would you learn the most, Rocco?
Yeah, basically the same thing. Like also though, how hard they worked in the off season. They were in the gym every single day, all together, lifting weights. And,
so they taught you that football's a year-round sport.
Yeah,
if you
basically.
want to be successful.
Yep.
I love it. So what I've noticed about the Moon area is when the Tigers are winning, the community's winning, and the community comes out and supports. The other night, I was out there. You guys had a full, you know what I mean? The place was full, student section's full. What's it like, Josh, to have that back? You know what I mean? The community's back, they're bought in, and they're riding with you guys. How's it feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great to have like the support of the community, and it's a game changer out on the field too. Like when the student section gets rowdy, it helps us on defense a lot.
For sure, Mitch?
Yeah, the same thing with Josh. I always on defense. The community always helps out and always get fired up in the crowd. And also just it just reminds me of like, the 21 season when since we were doing good and stuff, the community was just very happy. It was just awesome to have all that back.
Yeah, I mean, Brian?
Yeah, like I went to the hot dog shop and I was like recognized their like good win after the game. It's a good feeling having the community behind you.
Yeah, they're back behind you now. No, look, you got to win for the community to come. You got to understand that. They don't want to come out to see, you know what I mean, losing, but you got to respect those people because I guaranteed you had people that were there every game last year, and you probably still see those same people in the stands. Am I right?
Yeah.
For you, buddy, what's it like for the community supporting you, man?
It kind of gives you an extra reason to play. Like, gives you that little extra push, like, to show that you're giving that 110% that you can.
I got 2 left for you boys, and I'm going to get you out of here. What's your favorite thing to do off the field? No lifting, no sports, nothing. I want your hobby.
I would say the gym. I do love the gym, but you said no lifting.
No lifting. It's got
I'll
to
just
be
have to
something
say-
outside of all this, yeah.
Hanging out at Sheets with the friends.
You're definitely from Moon Township. Definitely. He just said he likes to hang out at Sheets. He's from Moon Township. For you, Brian?
I also enjoy hanging out Sheets. I mean, we'll sit there. Me and Rocco will sit there for 2 hours.
I'm gone.
But other than that, I enjoy fishing and hunting.
Okay, my man. Okay. Mitch?
I'm gonna say the same thing as Rob. I mean, I really enjoy the gym a lot, but it's just hanging out with my friends and
Going to Sheets? He had to get Sheets in there.
or just hang out.
Yeah, okay. Josh?
Outside of football and lifting, I'm either working or hunting most of the time.
Working at
I
Sheets.
already knew you were. I could tell you're a hunter. All right, boys. So we're gonna go down the line. We're gonna get you out of here. Rocco, this is a big week. You guys are on a 3-game winning streak. You're rolling. We're heading into Peters. They're 6-0. What do we got to do to come out of there with a victory?
We definitely have to have a great week of practice. They're a really tough team. We have to work hard this week, make sure there's no mistakes. A mistake will lose us that game. Can't have any turnovers, no fumbles, no penalties. We need to play a perfect game.
Brian?
Yeah, for sure have a great week of practice and just putting the hours on huddle, just really lock in for the game.
Same thing. We really got a great week of practice. I mean, Peters is super athletic. I feel like we really better work hard and focus on that.
Yeah, for sure. Josh, we'll land it with you. What do we got to do to come out of here with a W Friday night?
We got to keep our heads in the game. Like, we're on a roll right now. We got to keep our team down on the ground, not up in the clouds.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
We gotta come out hard, play a physical game. They're 6-0 for a reason. They're not a bad team at all. They're very good.
Just come out, hit him in the mouth. Well, Josh Bladel, Mitch Parisi, Ryan Crawford, Rocco Sinatra. Thank you, boys, for joining today.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you guys. I'm with the Moon Tigers. They were our special guests today. Coach Lynn joined us, and we got these 4 captains. You guys are rolling. Good luck this week against Peters Township. Have a great week of practice, and I wish you nothing but the best, boys. Thank you for joining PA Today in Sports Talk. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on that segment. Matt, how you doing, bud?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Well, I think you know why I'm calling. You're PA Today Sports Small School Player of the Week, and we just wanted to get you on the line here. So last night, you had 437 yards of total offense against Bishop Canavan, rushed 24 times for 277 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 160 yards and another 3 touchdowns. Rangers are off to a 6-0 start. You guys are looking like a serious 1A contender. Matt, first off, thanks for calling in on such short notice, and congrats on the big win, my man.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
For sure. What were you seeing out there last night that was allowing you to put the performance on you did?
Just a lot of open space. I mean, the line really opened up a ton of big holes, and I mean, that's all it was at first.
Absolutely, and that's what I want to speak about next. You want to talk about those big boys up front and how much they're helping you, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're huge. I mean, we got Braden Kirby, Lewis Ryan, Anthony Salvini, Jonah Fender, and Ian Malini. And they've just been working all off season. They've been lifting a lot of weights, came to every workout all summer, and it's showing off all the work they put in.
Absolutely. And as a player individually, where would you say you improved the most? From your freshman year, because you had a big year, you were over 3,000 yards, to this year, where would you say you improved the most? Because I'd say you're much improved.
I think just sitting down with Coach Tanner all off season, and he put together a whole playlist on Huddle with reads I missed or what I can improve on from last season. And
I like that.
I think down with him, I feel like give me a lot more experience coming in this year.
For sure. And like you see me tweet out all the time, it's not just you. There's a bunch of guys over there doing their job. Do you want to just shout out a couple of your teammates doing their job?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Shane Cornally, he's been a huge part of the team all year, offense and defense and special teams. Coming up huge for us all season. Ethan Filetto, he's made huge improvements from last year, and he's gotten a lot faster, a lot more physical. And Nate Hiron, he's looking good on the D-line this year. Fast, quick, gets off the ball. And everybody's really playing great, and it's really the whole team.
Yeah, I love to hear it, my man. I love to hear it. And I got to ask you, man, that Penn State offer comes in. What's that one feel like, man?
It was a dream come true. I wasn't expecting it. They called me short notice. And
So it was unexpected?
Yeah, I was speechless.
I love to hear it. Last question, Matt, and I'll get you off the line because I want you to enjoy this one with your family and friends. You deserve it, man. Where would you say you guys where does the mentality need to be to, keep rolling and win a WPIAL championship and then on to a PIAA championship?
We just got to take it 1 week at a time. We can't overlook anybody, and we just got to take every game, same approach, same intensity all week in practice, and see where it takes us.
You got it. You heard it here first. PA Today Sports Small School Player of the Week, Matt Sig. Matt, thank you so much for calling in, my man. Have a great night.
Yeah, having me.
Oh,
You
for
too.
sure. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, that was Fort Cherry's Matt Sig, and he is PA Today Small School Player of the Week. All right, we just wrapped up. We got off the phone with this week's Small School Player of the Week in Fort Cherry's Matt Sig. He had 7 touchdowns, and he led them to a victory over number 1 Bishop Canevin at the time. Now it's PA Today Sports Talk Week 5 Big School Player of the Week. This was tough because Central Catholic, they're just playing Madden on easy right now. So I got to give it to Penn State commit Peter Gonzalez this week. 7 receptions, 268 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He went absolutely off, and he deserves it. To do that on the 6A level, especially against a solid Cannon Mac defense who had 2 shutouts, that was a statement performance in my opinion. Peter Gonzalez is this week's PA Today Sports Talk Week 5 Big School Player of the Week. And what him and Peyton Wayner are doing over there right now, they're just putting up video game numbers. If you got him on your fantasy team, you're winning every week. So shout out to you, Peter Gonzalez. He's a Penn State commit, and he's over at Central Catholic, absolutely ripping it up. He is this week's Big School Player of the Week. As we move along, I want to speak about a team peaking. We spoke about Gateway peaking last week. Woodland Hills is starting to peak, and we're starting to see what we were, all talking about in the summertime. A lot of people were like, chill on Woodland Hills, chill on Woodland Hills. I wasn't one of them because I knew the special talent they had over there. Let's start out with the leader of that team, and Cam Walter, a 2026 quarterback. He's really settled into his own. He's starting to make better decisions. From last year to now, in my opinion, where he's improved most is that decision making. And he's making good decisions. He's making pre-snap reads, and you can really tell that the timing's there with his receivers. They're under new coach Brian Tarrant and offensive coordinator Cam Sadler, who I honestly think, in my opinion, is one of the best young offensive coordinators in the WPIAL, just with the schemes that he runs. He does a really, really good job over there at Woodland Hills. And it seems like Cam, Scoop, and them guys really, relate well with him. So Cam was 9 of 18 passing on the night for 200 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns. They put up 42 points in that first quarter against a Shaler team that a lot of people were high on. And, Woodland Hills deserves some praise. Zakir Ziggy Moore, he's playing excellent football right now, and he exploded on the scene as well. He had 80 yards coming off a big week. I think he had about $150 last week. The same thing with class of 2026, Prince Tarrant. I'm kind of sticking to this class of 2026 right now just to go over that class. But Prince Tarrant and cornerback, he is playing excellent. he has really, shocked a lot of people, and he shocked me. I watched his film today, the half-season film. He's really playing good ball. I've seen him play live. He's playing some of the best ball in that class at the defensive back position. That's just my opinion. As you go down the line, like I said last week, you always got to keep an eye on Scoop Smith. I try to tell you guys who to watch out for. 4 grabs for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's like 145 pounds, but they can't put him on the ground. The kid's just slippery. He's a different athlete. He's a different type of competitor. Scoop Smith is the real deal. Don't let anyone ever tell you anything else. Amir Brown is a guy that's a vocal leader for them, and he's definitely a leader by example. He could do a little bit of everything on both sides of the ball, defensively and then offensively, but he's such a dangerous kick returner and a specialist. That's what I really like about Amir Brown. Just a heck of a basketball player too. Same thing with Scoop Smith. They have Nico Andrews, who's really starting to come on. So that trio with Scoop, Amir, and Nico, it's just a very dangerous trio. And then you have guys like Brandon Jones, Andre Smith, and then Ziggy. Zykir Moore. He's been getting a lot more touches, and he's been producing. So you can't forget about those guys up front like Nazir Neal, Mawan Rose, along with Dom Wilson at center. They've been playing great up front, protecting Cam, giving him time to, really throw the ball. And like I said, they're going to get Brandon Jones back this week, so he's going to get back in that trio of running backs they have kind of going on right now. And I've said it before, but George Hill, he came up from Georgia this past offseason. He's now at Woodland Hills. He's playing middle linebacker. He makes all the calls. He's the anchor of that defense. He's what you call the quarterback of the Woodland Hills defense. He's the guy that, we funnel everything to, and he's going to clean it up. So George Hill deserves a lot of credit on that defense. PA Today Sports Talk. A couple players that I just think, deserve some recognition. We talked about Peter Gonzalez already. Peyton Wayner over at Central Catholic. I mean, my goodness. I know he was our midseason player of the year, but we have to keep talking about it if he's going to keep performing. He doubled his stats from last week. He went 15-19 against Cannon Mac for 365 yards and 5 touchdowns against, in my opinion, I thought was one of the best defenses in the entire WPIL, but Central is just playing on another level right now. On the year, Peyton Wayner has 1,530 yards, 79 of 111 on pass attempts, 22 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Oh, not to mention 295 rush yards and 4 rush touchdowns. This kid is playing out of his mind right now, and yes, he's a top WPIAL quarterback. Like I said before, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Colin Brady at West Green, this is what he does. 301 yards, led the WPIAL in rushing this past week, 4 touchdowns in a tough fought win over Monessen, 41-32. Kyle Duple of Franklin Regional, he's been a guy that's picked it up for them, and he's been playing well. Bruce Giles, Connellsville's been playing well, 232 yards. Kyle Duple, he had 240 yards. I want to make that known. Brock Borgo at Hampton had 212 yards in a loss, but he still played really well, and that's a lot of yards. So I do want to give him credit, as we usually don't in losses, but in this situation we are, because he played his butt off. Tasso Whipple and Ben Grabowski had 399 combined yards for Penn Trafford and a huge win over Norwin. Just 1 week after Tasso Whipple set the single-season school record in rushing yards. I mean, those two, what can you say about those two? And Tasso Whipple, what he's done all year, he showed he's one of the top players in 5A. He's doing this week in and week out. Jay Rona over at Mohawk, he's been playing consistent all season. He was 21 of 38, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, 38-13 win over Elwood City. That's a big win for Mohawk. That's a section win. They have not lost since they lost to that, defending WPIAL single A champion Union team in week 1, which they had beat, like I said, all the way up to the end. They're on a 5-game winning streak at Mohawk. Those boys are playing great. Bobby Fadden, Dante Retort over at Mohawk, they're just playing great. Logan Kushner from North Allegheny, 10 of 19, 264 yards. Didn't get the touchdowns confirmed. I think it was 2, but that was a big win over Pine Richland. Ryan Messina, Elizabeth forward, he stepped into that quarterback position, and he's just been performing great. 292 passing yards, 14 of 23 through the air, 3+ touchdowns. I know he had at least 3, and they get to win 31-24 in a much, Elizabeth forward, they stay undefeated. And we're going to talk about some single-A ball at this point. There's some guys that just deserve some credit. We already talked about Matt Sig. We ran down his numbers, the 7-touchdown night, taking down our number 1, Bishop Canavan. So you're going to see a new power ranking here soon. Southside Beaver had 2 guys that just played great last night. I want to start off with Andrew A.C. Corfield. He had 2 receptions, 95 yards, but he also took a punt to the crib for 64 yards. And then their quarterback, Brody Almashi, 126 yards passing, 1 touchdown passing, 1 touchdown rushing, and then he took a punt to the crib from 54 out. So those guys could just do it all over there. Southside Beaver is angry from last year. I'm not going to speak on it too much because we got the power rankings coming up, but you're going to see Southside Beaver in those power rankings. Darius Fields at Northgate had a terrific week in a must-win section matchup against Shenango. 20-13, they win. He had 150 yards rushing on 2 touchdowns. Darius Fields, great game this week. So this week we're going to switch it up. PA Today Sports Talk. We're going to do a baller alert. Gateway and Bowling Green commit wide receiver DB Steven Jenkins has just been on an absolute tear. This is his first year with the Gators, but it's like you wouldn't even know the way he plays with Brad Birch and the way those two connect. They just got it going on. And it's not just on one side of the ball with Steven Jenkins. He is a two-way player, and he's producing on a high level on both sides of the ball. He's a receiver. You see him putting up crazy stats week in and week out. And then you see him as a defensive back strapping guys up. So I think a baller alert goes out to Steven Jenkins because he's just been flat-out balling. So PA Today Sports Talk baller alert, that's going to Steven Jenkins in the big school. And then when we get down to the lower schools, I got to give it to a guy like Javen Pill from Western Beaver. He's a freshman. He's been starting QB since day one at Western Beaver, and he is not disappointed. The kid has absolutely lit it up so far and deserves some recognition. This past Friday in a 48-0 victory, he threw for 254 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that puts him at 1,481 yards on the year, 18 touchdowns through the first 6 games to help this team obtain a 3-3 record, and they are 2-1 in section play. And it seems like they're peaking with guys like Mikey Crawford, Tyson Florence, and Javen Pill is using those weapons to his advantage. So, Javen Pill, another baller alert. As we move down here, it is time for the PA Today Sports Talk Power Rankings. We are going to start in 6A, and we do have a bit, a little bit of movement, but not much. Last week, Central Catholic was number 1. They remain number 1. They beat Cannon Mac 49-6. How about this stat? They have outscored their opponents a whopping 300-87. So they've scored 300 points. Their opponents have only scored 87 points through 6 games. That's absolutely incredible with the competition they're playing. I mean, in most of these opposing teams, those points were scored in garbage time, and a lot of the points, I think 42 came against Bethel Park, so they really haven't let up much. I mean, they've been led by guys like Peyton Wayner, a quarterback who received his first Division I offer from St. Francis University. Michigan commit Cole Sullivan. Penn State commits Anthony Specca and Peter Gonzalez. They have Power 5 guys all over the field, and Colson Gatton. Freshman Larry Moon is starting at cornerback, and he is playing phenomenal. I haven't seen him let anything up. The kid is a freshman, and he's out there playing on the 6A level at the highest level, and he's producing for them. He's number 12. I know you're used to Larry Moon being number 3, but if you're looking for him on Central Catholic, he is number 12 right now, and he is playing fantastic ball. North Allegheny, they bounced back, and they beat a always tough 5A Pine Richland team, 45-10, with Tyree Alalu, Jackie Chanko, Logan Kushner, Kyron Boyd. You never could count this team out from winning a 6A WPIAL title like they did last year. I would not count them out because in November, like we talked with Mark Lyons last week, anything can happen in November. November football in Western Pennsylvania is very unpredictable. So don't count North Allegheny out. They were a serious contender in 6A for a WPIAL title. Cannon Mac, I have them at 3 just because Mount Lebo's down a couple pieces, so I have Mount Lebo at 4, but they take that tough loss to Pittsburgh Central Catholic, but they've been running through everybody, so it's kind of tough. I have Cannon Mac at 3 just because of that defense. They have Mike Evans Jr., they have Welsh on offense, so they can still make a run, I believe. Mount Lebanon's coming in at 4 and 2. They're losing, they got a lot of key pieces that they're without right now, so I have them at 4. They're 4 and 2. They lost to USC this past week, but they're another team. They're very well coached, so they're a team that I could see, they could come on late and they can make a run. Seneca Valley, they're in a down year, 1 and 5. They're at number 5. They beat Butler this past week, 55-0 to pick up their first victory. Moving into 5A, and I do got 5 teams for you this week. Don't worry. Number 1, I think it's pretty obvious. We have Peters Township at 6-0. This past week, they took out Baldwin 49-6. They just keep rolling with guys like Nolan DeLucia, Reston Lehman, Mickey Vaccarello. I mean, those guys are really good players, and they have some very good players also on that team. It's not just those 3, but those 3, I really think they've been playing at the highest level so far. Peters Township as a team is really good, and they're really, really well coached. Coming in at number 2 is Penn Hills. They're 5-1. They bounced back with a big victory over a good Bethel Park team, 28-12. Julian Duggar is the type of player that I believe can make a special run in the postseason. He's one of those athletes that's just very special. They have a lot of other key pieces on the team that they will need at full strength to make that run. They're down a couple pieces right now, but I believe they're going to be getting those back here in the next couple weeks. Upper St. Clair with that big win over a 6A Mount Lebo team. They move up into the number 3 position at 5-1. I mean, they're led by Ethan Hellman at quarterback. They have terrific athletes like guys in Bryce Jones, Julian Dahlman, as well as a guy like Nate Stahl, who I believe is one of the best edge rushers in his entire class. Like we talked about Woodland Hills, they're my team peaking right now. I do have them at number 4. They're 4-2. They started out the year a little shaky with that start with Pittsburgh Central Catholic, but like we talked about, Central Catholic has run through everybody at this point. So they're on a 3-game winning streak at this point after defeating Shaler 56-14, and we talked about it. They put up 42 in that first quarter. They're led by Cam Walter. They have Scoop Smith, Amir Brown, Zakir Moore, Nico Andrews. We talked about those guys. You know the weapons they have. They're in at number 4 this week. And making their way into the power rankings, coming in at number 5 is the Moon Tigers. They are 3-3, but they are on a 3-game winning streak. They knocked off then number 1 Penn Hills when they were undefeated, 14-13. Ever since, the Tigers have been rolling, winning 3 straight games. They defeated South Fayette this past Friday. I was there. Nazir Brookins and Josh Bladel, they shared co-MVP of the game. They defeated South Fayette 24-3 to move into section play 1-0. This is a big-time matchup they have coming up against number 1 Peters Township this Friday, and it's the biggest game on their schedule as of right now. So that's a game that you're going to want to tune into. As we move along, we're going to get into the 4A power rankings. At number 1, Aliquippa remains. They stay perfect, taking down Ambridge 53-16. They're 5-0 under coach Mike Warfield. The Quips are rolling yet again. We know the Cam Lindsays. We know the Tyke Hayes. We know Quentin Good. We know Brandon Banks. We even know the John Tracy's by now. But there's guys like Justice Starks, J.S. Big Bino Williams, DeMarcus Deuce Walker, Harrison Air Walker. These guys, they are really contributing, and they're contributing on a big level. It's not just their, Division I athletes and cheese with John Tracy. They got some other guys that have stepped up, like I said. DeMarcus Walker and Harrison Walker are playing great right now. Big Bino, J.S. Williams, just playing great. Justice Starks has stepped up front for them offensively and defensively. There was a lot of questions, and there was a lot of people thought there was going to be holes in that Aliquippa up front offensively and defensively, but they have showed that they are not slowing down one bit, and they are in at number 1. At number 2, we have Thomas Jefferson. They remain perfect as they take out a Laurel Highlands team who's struggling. They're in a rebuilding year after losing DeShields and Gallagher. They take down Laurel Highlands 56-6. Now, they have 2 really good QBs in senior Brody Evans and junior Luke Costco. And they're playing really well right now. And Luke Costco's, I think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the WPIAL, and he's showing that week in and week out. Sean Sullivan is an absolute playmaker at receiver for the Jaguars. It looks like the Jags are going to be back to their dominant ways under Coach Turpak. Central Valley coming in number 3. I know they have that one blemish against Avonworth, but they come back. They handle business against Blackhawk and Newcastle. Newcastle was last week. Blackhawk was this week, 42-14. They're right back to their winning ways, back to a two-game winning streak. And that's what makes Coach Morg Lyons' teams so great. He never lets them dwell on the past. He always makes them move on to the next one. QB Stephen Rutherford is really starting to settle down and come into his own and play better, like Coach said last week. We know about the guys like Mason Dixon, the Tyler Costanzas, and the Nick McCreers who we had on. But, you know, they got some young guys like J.J. Work, Brendan Alexander, Jance Henry, Ethan Shear. They're just really, really good players, and they're contributing at, you know, a young level, and they're playing big-time football. So they're only freshmen and sophomore, and those guys are playing big-time football right now. McKeesport, they continue to roll as they shut out Ringgold 48-0 to move to 5-1. McKeesport is a team that a lot of people weren't sure what was going to happen. Like I said last week, people were seeing they lost Boyd, they lost Perriman. They're like, what's going to happen with this McKeesport team? Well, I'm going to tell you what happened. McKeesport, like I said, they don't rebuild, they reload. The defense is stout. McKeesport's always going to have a stout defense. Like I said, Courtney Dunn Jr., he's just really aggressive up front. He gets after the quarterback. And they have guys like Anthony Boyd, Garrett Tarker, and Cayman Spell. Cayman Spell's a freshman we talked about last week. Those are their 3 backs that they have. They kind of run that, you know, that hybrid wing tee, that bunched up set. So they use those 3 backs, and they all share the carries. You know, for the most part, it's pretty even. Coming in at number 5, I know Montour, they took the one blemish against Aliquippa, but they take out Newcastle. And like I said, they still only have that one blemish, so they're in at 5-1, and they're my number 5 team still. With guys offensively, Jake Wolf at quarterback, Caden Hallijoe in the backfield, along with Keno Fitzpatrick, who could do a little bit of everything, and Daniel Batch on the outside. This is a team nobody in 4A wants to see come playoff time, whether you want to admit it or not. And that's this week's 4A power rankings. We're going to get into the 3A power rankings now. Avonworth, I still have them at number 1. My opinion, we have to keep them there until they lose. They're 6-0. They take down a good West Mifflin team who a lot of people thought it was an upset alert. They continue to roll under head coach John Core, Carson Bellinger behind center, with a weapon like Brandon Bigarelli, who continues to move the sticks, and he's also excellent defensively. Andrew Kubin is their big-time threat, you know what I mean, their splash player, who, when they need a play, a big-time play, that's who they turn to. He can score at any time. He's their leading target offensively through the air. Coming in, number 2 is Bell Vernon. They bounced back after last week's non-section loss to TJ by beating South Allegheny 57-6 as they get back on the winning side. We all know how special 5-star Penn State commit Quentin Martin is. He's one of the best athletes in the entire state and in the country, according to all the big recruiting sites. And he's the real deal. We know that. They're the defending 3A PIAA state champions, so I expect them to be right back in the thick of things. We also know about Eastern Michigan commit Braden Locke. He's just a really good quarterback. He's not even going to college to play quarterback, which is crazy. He's going to play tight end, but he commands the offense, and I really like what he does. Jake Jedico, he's a running back at Bell Vernon, and he's kind of the workhorse for them because they kind of use Quentin Martin all over the place, and Jake's kind of the guy that, you know, he gets a lot of the carries and he moves the sticks for Bell Vernon. So I thought Jake was a guy that deserves a shout out. Bell Vernon coming in at number 2. Number 3 is Elizabeth Forward, and they just keep rolling and they just keep rolling. Like we talked about, Ryan Messina is playing great. They have 2 D1 run stoppers in Chris Climbs and Charlie Meehan. I mean, those two boys are as nasty as it gets up front. Dylan Winters offensively up front moves piles for them too. But like I said, those 2 defensively up front, it is hard to run the ball against Elizabeth Forward when you have Chris and Charlie up front stopping the run. Chris is a 2025 guy and Charlie's a 2024 guy. He's committed to Bucknell, I believe. It's almost possible to run the ball against that team, and that's what makes it so hard to beat them. Knock. They break into the power rankings. They're 5-1, and they take down previously number 4 ranked Deer Lakes in dominant fashion, in my opinion, by 20 points, 41-21. This moves them to 5-1, and it really woke a lot of us up. They are led by Cody Mullen at quarterback. Jackson Ballman is his top target on the outside at receiver, and they're led by Tony Nicolazzo and Ethan Allwine on the ground. So it's just, they got a good group, and they got a couple guys that are just really playing some good football right now. Seton LaSalle, they take that upset loss to South Park, but I do not feel comfortable moving them out of that 5 spot at 4-2. I still feel like they are the number 5 team in 3A right now, even after that loss to South Park, with guys like O'Malley, Khalil Taylor, Eric White, we talk about them, Gary Smith, Carson Barone. They just have a ton of leaders on that team. They're 4-2. I believe they're going to get back on track, so I still have them at number 5. As we move down into 2A, Wash High, another big section win as they defeat Waynesburg Central. They're now 6-0. Ed Lewis had another big week on the ground, and the defense is playing extremely well for the Prexies. They're just rolling right now. They showed 2A Waynesburg that there's levels to this, and they're not just quite on the level that they need to be yet, because Waynesburg started out strong. A lot of people were high on them, and they took 2 losses now. Wash High showed that they are still at the top of 2A, so they are in that number 1 position. At number 2 is coming in is Steel Valley at 4-1. They handled business against Apollo Ridge 49-17, and they are now a perfect 3-0 in section play. Donald Barksdale exploded out for a big week on the ground to help them to a victory. He's a guy that's just been doing this his whole career. His little brother, Deron Barksdale, who has the Power 5 offers, will be coming back in the lineup very soon. I did talk to him, and that's a huge addition, as he's a key part as he plays quarterback, as you know, for that Steel Valley run-heavy team. So getting him back at the quarterback position will help, and it's a huge addition for the defending 2A WPIAL champs. Neshannock, like I said last week, here come them Lancers, number 3. They are 5-1. They take down New Brighton 35-7. They move to a perfect 3-0 section play record with guys like Gino Mazzacchio and Anthony Eakin. They have proved to step into those shoes that they needed to step into and fill, and they are making the plays that they need to make. Anthony Eakin is a player that has stepped up for Neshannock on the offensive side of the ball. He's a fast player. He hits that hole, he hits that gap, and he hits it hard. Jackson Mazzacchio, Michael Ponziani, and Aiden Schaefer up front for Neshannock are the leaders. They really get that pile, pushing, and they move bodies. Neshannock has a really good line. They're led by Fred Mazzacchio at head coach, and he got his boys rolling right now. They're on a 5-game win streak, and like I said before, Fred Mazzacchio is one of the top coaches in my opinion. Mohawks coming in at number 4 this week. They are at 5-1, and they have not lost a game since losing to the 1A defending WPIAL champion Union Scotties in that first week. They had Union beat the whole game, like I said last week, and they just lost in that last 2-3 minutes. But Mohawks now on a 5-game winning streak. They take down and contain Elwood City's extremely talented back, Elijah Palmer McCain. They get the win 28-14. Wasn't pretty, wasn't the best win, but they get out of there with a win, which puts them in a 5-game winning streak and 3-0 in section play, with the only loss coming to Union. Jay Rona's having a great year at over 1,000 yards. Bobby Fadden, I know, is over 500 yards receiving, and Dante Retort is, he's a guy that's in there. He's always making plays. He's a first-team defensive back that's coming back for them. At number 5, I have 3-2 Amani Christian. After not playing a week, the Saints bounced back from their loss against Steel Valley 2 weeks ago by defeating section foe Burrell 35-8. And as I stated last year, as I stated last week, I believe this is a team that's going to peak late. Freshman Gabe Jenkins is really stepping up for them. He's a young guy that I really like to see, and he's doing big things over there. We know about the David Davis and Deshaun Burnett. They're top-ranked players in Pennsylvania. We know what they bring to the table. Steven Vandiver, a quarterback, first year. He's really playing well. But they also have guys like a Chavon Allen, a Marcus Williams on the outside, a receiver that are playmakers. Chavon Allen is a playmaker, man. Last year, he was a first-team wide receiver, I'm pretty sure, all conference. He is a playmaker. He's not a very big stature, but he goes up, he gets the ball, and he just makes play after play. So coming in at number 5 is Amani Christian. As we move down to our last classification before we do some city talk to wrap it up, we're going to talk about 1A. Now, 1A is absolutely loaded right now. These teams are not losing, so it's going to be a bit of a shock when you hear my power rankings. Coming in at number 1, we have a new number 1 this week. The Fort Cherry Rangers pulled off the upset over Bishop Canevin Saturday night in Dormont, 48-41, in an absolute thriller. We talked to Matt Sig. He had 7 touchdowns. They move into that number 1 power ranking position at 6-0. They got it rolling under Coach Gary, and I believe the Rangers will continue to roll, and I believe they're a team to be reckoned with. Coming in at number 2 is Southside Beaver at 6-0, and they are an angry team from last season. They want what they think is theirs. They had one bad night in the playoffs against Bishop Canevin, and, they got blown out. But they came back, and they're playing great football right now, led under Luke Travelpiece, who's going to be joining us on a show later in the season. They're led by quarterback Brody Almashi, who's been doing this for a long time. They have running back Ryan Navarra, Andrew Corfield, who's like an athlete, who's a plug-and-play player you hear me talk about, Slayton Williams, J.D. Roy, and Ben Bird. He's a guy first year playing football, but he's making a difference for him, so that's great to see. And that's, I think it's a team that really – it's a team that's going to make a deep playoff run. They run that hybrid, wing T style. It's that bunched-up offense. And Luke Travelpiece is the coach, but they have the 1999 state champion coach Glenn McDougal up in the box, on the headset, helping them out because they're running that wing T that, he kind of established at school. So I think it's awesome to see over at Southside, Luke Travelpiece kind of taking the new school and mixing it with the old school and the history of Southside and getting that offense that they've come to. So I think Southside's a team that's going to make a deep run. Cornell at 6-0. They barely get by Burgettstown, 14-13, but they're going to stay perfect. So we have them at number 3. They're headed into a big game against Bishop Canevin. I don't want to expose their number yet, but they're headed into a big game against now 4-1 Bishop Canevin. This is the 1A game of the week, in my opinion. Coming in at number 4 is 5-1 Union. And here come the Scotties again. They got that one blemish to Cornell, but they have been very dominant ever since that loss. And I believe with a QB like Braylon Thomas, you can always make a deep run in 1A. They also have a guy like Mike Gunn, Lucas Stanley, Dane Jonke. I should say guys. They have guys over there. They have 3 guys in those, that really, really make a big impact. Mike Gunn's been playing some really good ball over there defensively as a defensive back, and he's a plug-and-play player. He's an athlete. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can do a little bit of everything. Dane Jonke he's a really good receiver. He makes some real good plays. Lucas Stanley's a guy I love to see playing football. Both of his brothers graduated, and they had a big impact on that WPIAL champion Scotties team last year. So it's great to see Lucas out there. He'll take some snaps at quarterback when Braylon goes to the sideline. So it's just great to see. And then coming in at number 5, it's tough to put them there, but Bishop Canevin's going to be at number 5 at 5-1. They lost to Fort Cherry this past week, and there's 3 undefeated teams in 1A right now. So these power rankings are tough. And we know they have weapons like Jason Cross, WVU commit, Ajon Marshall, Jaden Lindsay. You can expect to see the Crusaders move right back up these rankings as the season unfolds. They have a guy like Davion Taylor, who's a Power 5 recruit. Same with Henry Barbish. And they're just they got a lot of talent, so expect to see them make a deep playoff run. They got a guy in Marzi Carter who's a 1,500-plus returning rusher from last year. So they're just a team that, they're going to make another deep playoff run. But as of right now, I have them at number 5 after this week's loss. So at the end of every show, we always do City League talk. You know me, I love the City League, so I always got to shout out some of my guys. I'm going to start out with Westinghouse's Michael Richardson, Sincere Skinny Shannon, and Zay Robinson. They are some of the best pass rushers in the area, in the Western Pennsylvania area, I will say. I believe all of those guys deserve a shout out, along with Coach Dante Green and what he does at Westinghouse. That program is absolutely rolling. They're off to another undefeated start. Ty Abram is another player that straight up produces game in and game out for the Bulldogs. And I would also like to shout out Khalil Green. Stepped in and replaced the legend of Keyshawn Morcillo, and he has done a great job commanding that offense. not making himself do too much and not putting too much on himself, allowing the talented team to help him, step into that role and become successful. Keyshawn Robinson continues to rack up those offers, and that's nothing, he's going to have about 30, 40 offers by the time it's all said and done. USO's quarterback, Max Koreshi, has made major improvements, and that's something that it has to be highlighted. He has his USO team off to a 4-2 start, and I believe he deserves some shine as they blow out Perry. Like I said earlier, am I reading this right? 70-0 this past week. Marquise Glass-Jones is another guy for them at USO to be on the lookout for, and I know I say it every week, but Daniel Boy Kane and Zaire Stevenson, you always want to pull up and watch them play. They are just showtime. So that's this week's City League Talk. Thank you all very much for tuning into this week's episode of PA Today Sports Talk with John Magusiak. I'm your host, John Magusiak. The Moon Tigers stopped by along with their head coach, Ryan Linn. We broke down the WPIAL a bit more in depth this week, and then we finished it with the PA Today Sports Power Rankings. We will be back next week, but this time we're going to be coming to you from the Allegheny River on a boat. We'll see you next week, and that's a wrap. Ball game.